Welcome to day one of the Centre Court Specialised Masters Festival with my co-host John Byrne, the editor-in-chief at Poets and Quants. We were with you just a couple of weeks ago for the festival that was focused on the MBA, but we were already talking about the incredible demand emerging for specialised masters. And over the next couple of days, the world's top business schools, whether they're from Asia, from Europe, and of course from North America, we'll be talking about a whole host of great study options that you have, from Masters in Finance, the Masters in Management. We'll be talking about business analytics, supply chain. I think we might even have cybersecurity in there in one of the sessions. But we're starting with two wonderful business schools that have proven tracks with a Masters in Quantitative Management. And to talk about that, we've got Erika Hellberg. Erika is the Associate Director of Admissions at NYU Stern. And I guess you could all guess with that wonderful Zoom background behind her. And then Shani Mahalu. Shani is the Senior Director of Corporate Engagement and External Affairs at UCLA Anderson, which explains that campus shot and the palm trees. And Anderson has a Master's in Quant Economics. So quant is a theme. Clearly that matches Poets and Quants. Great to have you both with us. And perhaps, Erika, we'll start with you. We'll move east to west and just maybe sort of laying out, as our viewers are considering all of the different specialized masters choices, the quant management option. Tell us about the program, how long it's been around, and the sort of curriculum and subject areas that it covers.
Sure. So this is a relatively new degree program. We are currently recruiting our fifth intake of students. So the program was founded in 2019. And as everyone knows, we all experienced quite an upheaval since then. So we are kind of balancing back out and finding what our actual normal will be. The program was founded with the MBA core. Truly, as we think about the curriculum, you are getting what you think of as the MBA core basics: leadership, finance, marketing, econ, stats. And then that quantitative piece is represented in 5 data courses. So it is truly a master's in management with that quantitative coursework added on, with the hopes of developing data savvy leaders who can make good business decisions using the data they have.
Got it. And I guess viewers that are thinking, as they come out of undergrad, next steps, perhaps a deeper specialization beyond their undergraduate studies, as they think about the broader MBA, how they could then load their second year with electives at Stern, why there's sort of this sort of specialized focus, and data, as you said, is really at the heart then of the program.
Sure. So this is both a great alternative to the MBA, but also a great path into the MBA if you are not yet ready or haven't made up your mind. So the MSQM program does allow students to transfer directly into the Langone part-time MBA program. All you have to do is meet a certain set of criteria, no conduct issues, GPA at a certain point, and then you can transfer immediately into that program, which is an amazing option. And about 30% of our MSQMs take us up on that. The other 60%, really, we find choose this for a few reasons as opposed to the MBA. One, it is shorter. It is more direct. You can complete this degree program in 20 months, which not only shortens your time to degree, but also kind of eliminates some of the burden financially. It is a less expensive degree because it is less credits and shorter. But it is also very flexible. It is our only fully online program at Stern. So it does have wide appeal internationally, as folks want that tie to New York City, but maybe can't uproot their life to move to New York City. It gives them an option to pursue a business degree from Stern.
Got it. Right. So lots of options for people all around the world. And Shani, we'd all secretly love to move to California and perhaps to study the MQE. We're filling up. We've got MBAs and MIMs, and now we've got 2 more to keep on track. So tell us a little bit about Quant Economics, and I'm assuming, again, with that quantitative emphasis in the program title, So how long it's been around and the sort of study focus that it covers.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to being here today. My name is Shani. It's a tough name, so just for the pronunciation. I've been with the program for the last year and a half. The program has been around since 2016. So we launched our 7th cohort just a month ago. I'd like to also share that we are not part of Anderson. So Anderson is an incredible business school at UCLA, and the MQE program is housed in the Department of Economics within the College of Social Sciences. And so it's quite an exciting time for the college and especially for the program, launching its 7th year and exponentially growing since our inaugural class. And so we have about 250 students currently in the program. About 130 of them started just this fall. The program is the fastest growing graduate program at UCLA. So that's another exciting fun fact. And in terms of what it covers, so courses in applied statistics and econometrics with Python, SQL, R, as coding languages that we teach in the program, machine learning, rate forecasting, accounting, data management, money and banking, asset pricing. And so I think that the exciting part of all of this is that this is a specialized master's degree that in 1 year to 2 years, depending on the student choice, can really lead to a huge career success. And we're seeing that all the time. And I think it's an exciting trend in the industry, diverting a little bit away from the MBA into this very exciting program.
With colleagues that perhaps, what do we go about 8-9 years ago that were thinking, I think that there's an opportunity for a specialized master's in quantitative economics to now have it as the fastest growing of all of the graduate programs. So who is it resonating with in terms of, is it those coming out of undergrad that then want that very specific, the sort of skills that you were looking at in Python and other skill sets? Who is it perhaps intended for, or is there no one profile?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And so I see about 3 populations of students being attracted to the program. One of them is those that just completed an undergrad, economics, statistics, mathematics. They are very passionate and they have a clear vision of what they want the career to be like, right? They want to get into data science and analytics. They want to learn those technical skills that we teach in the program. They have the foundation, the academic foundation, and they come directly from those programs, I have to say, from all over the world. It's not that the majority of them are UCLA students, not at all. And so another big population is individuals that are already working in the field. A lot of them are economists. They work for central banks of Japan, of Thailand, of Guatemala. It's incredible to welcome them into our community. Some of them are veterans. They come from the US Air Force. We have a nice pathway from the academies into the program. And so they have about 6 years of experience in that realm, and then they made the transition into a graduate program that will help them develop their skills and continue their educational journey. And the last, it's a fewer population, but we have students with 9 years of experience as traders from London working in a bank, right? And they, again, has the aspiration to go back to school, and they recognize a specialized master as a better choice, I think, because of the clarity that they have in terms of their career goals.
Right. So it feels that we talk a lot about central bankers at the moment as our economies around the world, from Japan to the US, try to tip through the next steps. And Erika, obviously that Stern experience embedded in the program, and you talked about applicants, given the online delivery, coming from all over the world. Again, sort of early stage career, all the way through to those with 8-9 years of experience. Who does the program really appeal to?
Yes, equally as wide of a range. So, for example, in this past class, our average age is 28, but the range was 21 to 47. And as you could expect from that age range, we have 0 to 24 years of work experience represented with an average of 5.5. So we do have folks coming straight out of undergrad who do want to continue their education, typically in their first job. And then we have folks who want to transition into leadership or management positions, who still are working full-time and join us to kind of upskill.
Right. In terms of taking on that commitment as you might pursue studies alongside that first position, I love the fact that there's a 47-year-old in the program. There's still a place in the world for me, or at least in a classroom for me. What is your sort of experience and then guidance of juggling both those professional commitments, but studies, and how you might even then be bringing that into your daily work?
Yeah, so in terms of balance, our program is a bit unique the way that it is structured. You take one course at a time. You're going to sprint through that course for 3 weeks, so they are very intensive courses. But if you are anything like me in undergrad, trying to balance 6 courses while you're remembering deadlines and dates and also trying to understand the material was half the battle. And so our students have really kind of appreciated that approach of, I just focus on learning one thing, and that is the thing that I do, and I can fully immerse myself in it. In terms of that kind of real world application, because many of our students, most of our students are working full time, we kind of hear regularly about how they are able to then apply what they've learned in the work setting, or even just approach their work with a different lens because of the contextual knowledge that they're getting through the program. And because they are studying with their cohort who are also working professionals, there's this really unique dynamic of, well, in my industry, in my country, here's what I'm seeing, and kind of getting all of those kind of different perspectives on something as simple like social media marketing is going to look very different in the United States versus another country.
Right. And the convergence, we talk a lot about big data and, sort of data-driven decision making. Does it feel like a very natural sort of synergy to then bring that alongside, management and sort of leadership, that the two go hand in hand?
Absolutely. And I can honestly say that Stern leads by example. Even now, my leadership team will ask questions about my decision making and being able to understand all of those data points that I'm using in making a decision, and being able to communicate that to key stakeholders, potentially visualize that for them if needed, right? That's really the skill that our students are learning, is how do you show up to the table and back up your answers, if I were to boil it down. And so they're able to, whatever industry they're in, take that applicable skill with them.
Right. Shani, with the success that the MQA is enjoying at UCLA, perhaps many of our viewers are thinking about their graduate management and simply graduate study opportunities. What are the conversations that you then often have with candidates as they think about the MBA or a master's in biz analytics versus the very clear distinction of the MQE, and where that will then position them on the job market or in terms of their future goals?
I think that's a great question that is being asked on a daily basis. And it's an important question for our listeners. I think it's an important question. I have to share that I spent 12 years in the MBA space. So I was director of recruitment in a business school outside of UCLA. And it's a wonderful degree, right? And so I think it's another viable option. And that's what I usually say, all the people that consider MQE. And so the main difference is that the MBA is a generalized degree that provide you with the career exploration to, take on courses in marketing and finance and accounting and strategy and so forth and so on, versus a specialized master's degree that has a specific path that leads to a specific career trajectory. And so if you have that sense of knowledge and sense of self and I do a lot of career work with students. And then I think it's a gift because a lot of individuals in the field and a lot of young students and even people in their mid-40s can still feel that they're not sure of what they want to do, what they want their life to be about. And so if you have that sense of knowledge and you have that passion, I think that's great. Another element is that the world is changing, as we all know, and we're in a post-COVID world. And so the technical skills and those languages specifically, and the ability to design and develop and create dashboards to support decision makers, right, with data analysis and science is the future of work in many ways. And so I think it is important to pay attention to that and what will be the most desirable skills. I lead the corporate engagement and external affairs for the program, and there is no shortage of data science jobs. You know, I'm overwhelmed with the opportunity in that space, even with some of the technology companies now putting a hold to their hiring. And so I think that's something to look into. What could be a potential career for me? Should I go this route versus another one? And to your question, I think they can intersect, right? Pursuing an MBA versus another degree is more about where are you coming to the program from? How many years of work experience do you have? Do you already have leadership experience and managerial? You know, that would set you into completely different paths. But if you're an early career coming from the MBA or from MQE, I think you can lend similar opportunities. I have a great example of a student that got into an Amazon financial leadership development internship for an MBA. She was the only specialized master's. She's an international student from India and was offered a full-time role upon graduation. And so it is still possible, but more so to explore and to discover what is it that you want to do in terms of the learning and review curriculum and courses to have more clarity in terms of what you're getting yourself into.
Right. Now, Shani, viewers, has given us a great taste of our next panel, because we are going to be looking at career opportunities and the paths that you can then follow with the MSQM, with the MQE, and clearly that's a sort of a trailer, I think, to the tremendous opportunities and skill sets that are so aligned. On the basis of those technical skills, Shani, just staying with you, what are you therefore looking for in candidates to know that they'll then thrive and flourish with those technical skills and analytical skills that are at the heart of the program?
Sure. It is a very selective process, I have to say. Our admissions rate are at 16% currently, so there is a great demand, but we're also reviewing applications with a holistic approach. But we're focusing on the quantitative skills as a baseline to then dive deeper into the other aspects of the application. There is a Gre requirement that is not waived in any way. And so there's expectations for a minimum score, of course, in the Gre. GPA score is also being reviewed, and the courses the individual succeed in can really predict their probability to succeed in the program as well. It is definitely a rigorous program where you will have to bring those quantitative skills and technical skills to use. So students that have previous experience with coding, with data science and analytics, with machine learning, statistical analysis, mathematics, engineering program can have a high chance of being successful. However, if your degree is in psychology, it does not mean that you have no chance to get admitted into the program. So we have a great student with that background, and she recently landed the job with the Wall Street Journal. And so I'm sharing all those stories because it is a holistic approach, but we're focusing on technical and quantitative skills that can predict the success of the student in the program. There is also an interview as part of the application process that some technical questions are asked, again, to assess those skills.
Got it. And the emphasis, of course, is you're focused on admissions and all of the right reasons to admit these great candidates.
Right.
and really ensure that they're aligned with what will help them to thrive in the program. Erika, with a 23 or 24-year age range among students, it must be a wonderfully diverse and eclectic mix. Are there sort of key characteristics that you think do particularly well in the program, and also maybe an emphasis on some of the softer skills that will serve these individuals very well in the next steps of their career?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a very diverse group. Again, the age range, the broad nature of the degree, the fact that it is really fully online. There are residency requirements, but those are very short. I would say like 98% of the program is just done completely remotely online. And so that does give us a very diverse cohort, and sorting out what characteristics were really valuable. We did a very deep dive, kind of looking back at our first 4 cohorts and seeing, are there any markers that proved that students would be very successful? And let me tell you, it is a challenge. Predicting success, as we know, is a challenge. And so we are test optional. We are not GRE or GMAT required. And so we're not looking for specific things, but as you mentioned, kind of those soft skills, we want folks who are able to think critically and to think analytically. And whether you have demonstrated those skills in finance, or if you have demonstrated those skills in education or theater, right? We've found that those who have the ability to be inquisitive and think critically it is the most important thing, because this isn't a technical degree like a degree in business analytics or data analytics. It's a degree in management with an added layer of analytics. And so you need to be able to not just, perform and understand the coding in R, but also know why you're coding in R, and then be able to transcribe that over to a business situation, a case study, or even your career, to be able to kind of apply what you've learned and what you're learning to succeed in the courses. And so we really are looking for those analysis skills, but also it is a cohort model. You enter with the same students, you take every course with them, it's lockstep. So we want great team players and folks who are invested in the community around them, so that we can develop this excellent, community of scholars who will support each other through these 3-week sprints, through the challenges of, I'm working, how do I fit it in? Or I have a baby, I'm up at 2 a.m., what a great time to do a lecture. We want to really develop that community, and that's part of our selection process as well.
Do you think, Erika, that there are characteristics that haven't just emerged through 2 years of a global pandemic, but individuals, whether how they then manage their time, obviously the priority and focus that they're dedicating to this program, that are also then able to bring that sense of community and support and contribution that, we often think about if you're on the Stern campus or on the UCLA campus, but how they're then able to build these really close ties with individuals, through the sprints and going through this 2-year experience together.
Yeah, honestly, if I could nail down like one silver lining from the pandemic, it would be that folks really learned how to be online, and what that means, and how to build connections, and how to reach out to their peers, and how the 4 of us are having a conversation. I guess Leanne's off, but the 3 of us are having a conversation across continents. And so I think that has given our students maybe a little bit of a boost or jumpstart in developing those skills that have been serving them really well. And it honestly is one of, I think, our alumni's favorite part of the program, is that cohort model, developing that community, and being able to go visit each other is just kind of an added perk.
Right. Shani, you've talked about professional skills that are in such high demand, and we'll be taking that deeper dive in our next session in about half an hour. But at the personal level, as individuals are making this investment in themselves, the return to school, what do you observe? Or perhaps if I sat down with graduates of the MQE, what would they say, even on that personal level, growing in their self-confidence and just how it's really, helped them to grow and take on new challenges?
Yeah, in so many ways, and we discussed it already today, but I think one of those is the confidence that the program and the education provides in terms of once you have skills, technical skills that are sought after, and you apply them on real life project, like Erika was mentioning, I think it gives you the confidence to go out in the world and be a master, right? A master of quantitative economics, and you can apply the learning into any business situation. And so one of the elements of the program is that we have an applied project that is introduced to students. Not all of them have to go through it. They can be opt into the program. And so we partner with industry, with companies that will provide a business challenge or a business case, and a group of students will work as consultants with the guidance of the faculty to solve. And so each student can have an opportunity every quarter to participate in a project like that and add it to the resume, right? And so on a personal level, once you now have added to your resume maybe 2 or 3 applied projects that you worked on, you leave the program with that in your toolkit, and you can refer to that as your experience. So I think that's a huge one. Another one is the community of the MQE is quite big, right? It is also somewhat of a cohort model, but there is a ton of flexibility to choose your own courses. So you're not necessarily go through the same program with the same students. However, it's a big community of currently 250 students in the program and the alumni network. So there's that affiliation with the brand. UCLA is a very, very strong community. And I keep saying it to the students, but I know they experience it, that it's for life, right? And so that affiliation and the knowledge that you can rely on the community to brainstorm for ideas, to have a sounding board, to help for jobs, mentorship, it's always there with you. And again, it comes back to the confidence. And I think the other thing is the global perspective. The program invite employers to participate in the applied project from all over the world. We have a huge employer from Asia Pacific participating. There are opportunities to go and work abroad, and there is a very diverse community of individuals coming from all over the world. And so I had a student recently sharing with me, now I have friends from Germany and the Middle East and from China. And so it is exciting to expand your network, to make new friends that will remain your colleagues for life. And with that sense of confidence and community to step into the world and to start your career journey.
I'm sure the Insta accounts, Erika, of the Stern graduates that then in subsequent years are filled with, weddings, family events, celebrations, with this tremendous global community. A similar question, if I were to sit down with the graduating students that, have then come through the program, juggled all of these commitments, typically what sort of feedback, what are the things that they spontaneously share with you that really struck them in the program or had a lasting impact on them?
One of the biggest things that has an impact is the visit to New York City. One of the biggest cities in the world, a financial capital, and being able to see firsthand the connection that our curriculum, the Stern community, the NYU community has to the city is incredible. But you also get to meet your cohort, the faculty, the administration. And this happens very early in the program, really your first week of taking courses. And so that time on campus, you are taking class, but then you're also participating in orientation activities. We invite both classes. So there's this kind of transfer of knowledge from the second year students who are on their way wrapping up the program to the first year students about how to succeed and how to do it better. So our second years were very candid in saying, you know what, I tried to take on all of these things while studying and it didn't work. So beware. Or here's what did work for me. And really being kind of each other's cheerleaders is an incredible support because it's challenging. Studying online, remotely, in a very rigorous program while you're balancing your personal and professional commitments is a challenge. And so just having that support between our classes is also, I think, probably a highlight that our students would share. But of course, the outcomes that they've seen in their personal and professional lives. We have a student who isn't a graduate, but reached out to us after about 6 classes and shared that she got a promotion. And a large part of that is because her manager said that knowing SQL put her ahead of other candidates. And being able to use kind of her database design course to share how she would impact the company, gave her that edge. And so we get stories like that, and it's really incredible to kind of see that academic rigor benefit them professionally, but also then personally through their cohort interactions.
Yeah, it must be great to get that immediate sort of feedback of the tangible outcomes that they're enjoying. Do you feel, and with a world-class business school like Stern, that we've now reached the point with online delivery, both in its sophistication, in its nuance, in its ability not just for learning but for connecting, we're in a very different place than perhaps we were 10, 15 years ago. Is that, do you think, reflected in the demand you're seeing for the program?
Absolutely. I think not only the technological advances giving students the confidence and comfort to be able to succeed, but also to validate what they are doing. I think in the past few years, we have seen employers, educators really embrace the fact that a degree delivered online can still be as rigorous, as beneficial, as rewarding as a degree delivered in person. You're not changing the degree, you're changing the delivery method. And so as more and more employers really embrace the idea of what can be done remotely for their employees, we see more, for example, like tuition remission benefits. Before the pandemic, were almost exclusively residential programs. And now we're seeing so many more employers volunteer to pay for an online degree, which is incredible as well. And I think, knowing that they can do this and then leverage those skills immediately, we are seeing increased demand coming out of the pandemic.
Right. We've perhaps seen, Shani, that the central bankers and their decisions about interest rates and other things move markets more than any marketing campaign that Apple could come up with. You've seen such tremendous growth for the MQE over the last 7 years. So what's your expectation both of demand? Will that continue, do you think? And also, how will the program itself continue to evolve, to reflect the demands of the market?
A great question. Top of mind for us, this question. We ask ourselves the question all the time, and the academic director of the program, Professor Turnell, leading in that direction. And so it's exciting times. And so the first question that you asked is the demand for the program in the future. And from my experience in recruitment and from seeing the applications coming, there is an increase consistently over the last 7 years, and we're anticipating to see even more demand and an increased application number year over year. However, we invest a lot of efforts to continue and attract diverse communities and be proactive in terms of participating in an event like this one and sharing the information with students all over the world, in Africa, and we participated in a fair in Milan, Italy, and we want to continue to just reach to populations that are not necessarily represented in the program. And so while I say we anticipate a continuously increased demand, we also are being very intentional about the diversity and inclusion, and being intentional about having a very wide representation of students in the program. And then so that's very exciting. And then in terms of our openness to continue and evolve, right, with the market, it's our top priority. And so we continuously seek feedback from our employer partners, from our alumni, from faculty and adjunct faculty teaching in the program, so we can remain current and follow new trends in the industry, especially with all the changes in the economic ecosystem nowadays and in general. And so the program has evolved tremendously since the inaugural class, and new classes are being offered. We have pathways for data science and to the finance, and people can combine both. We keep being flexible in terms of the completion time. It can be done in a year versus 2 years, so 9 months to 18 months, depending on the student goals. And I think a lot of it is because of how the market is changing in the time, right? And not knowing what tomorrow will bring, especially in the last 2 years of the pandemic, made us being nimble and resilient is really, I would say, two of the top values that we keep in front of our eyes as we continue to offer the program and to evolve with the market. And I'm really thankful to the committee, because on a daily basis, senior executives from companies will share some gaps that they're seeing in terms of students that they hired, or just the market and what individuals in their companies are unable to contribute. And we immediately, seek those professionals to come and prepare our students to be successful in those rounds.
Well, we're privileged to have you with us at the festival, and I think to be able to give viewers, not just today, but these video recordings are so popular in the weeks and months to follow, to then reach out to you, perhaps to students and graduates, because you provide so many different touch points. And Arika, perhaps just to finish with you, for an individual thinking about their next steps, good ways to get in touch. Are there even sample classes that they could attend? Or I'm sure lots of info sessions. And now that you're 7 years in, 4 years in, a growing number of graduates that they'd also love to speak with.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's quite a bit of info on our website about upcoming events, office hours, ways to get involved. My advice to any candidate who's considering their next steps is to really think about their goals and the outcomes that they hope to see, and to choose the program that is the best fit for them, whether it is a specialized master's degree or an MBA, or maybe they're torn between two wonderful degrees, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast, to think about the specific outcomes they want and ultimately choose the program that is the best fit for them, because that's how they're really going to see success in achieving those outcomes.
Great. Well, I think you've just provided us with a wonderful segue. As we said, we'll have a separate dedicated panel with Shani, with Erica, that look at those outcomes and the sort of career opportunities that would emerge after the MSQM at NYU Stern or the MQE at UCLA. But I think we've already got a great sense of such exciting programs, which is, thank you, because the Centre Court Specialized Masters Festival is all about bringing these opportunities, the visibility, so that people can really make informed decisions about next steps. And clearly, both of your programs are thriving. Your students, your graduates are achieving great things. So we're going to take a deeper dive into some of those outcomes in our next session, and I hope that viewers can join us for that in about 20 minutes. But this was part one. Shani, Arika, Thank you very much for such a great session. And I know that our viewers will be very excited to reach out to you and your teams.